So what does the future of bookkeeping look like with all the advances in AI? Obviously, things are progressing very quickly this year, so this is top of mind to a lot of people. You hear a lot about advances in artificial intelligence. So I'm getting more and more questions about, are these advances going to take over bookkeeper jobs? I have 6 sections in this video. The first 2 are more of encouragement, and then in the last 4, I'm going to get into how AI will affect your number of clients, how it will enhance your job as a bookkeeper, the value that we still have as humans, and then lastly, how we can switch to more of an advisory role as a bookkeeper. My first section is that technology is continually changing the workforce. So AI is absolutely going to change our jobs as bookkeepers. They're going to change a ton of jobs, if not all jobs, like worldwide. And I do acknowledge that can be really scary. But if you look at history, that can provide me with a lot of encouragement. So I was just listening to this podcast and someone said, like, I think it was in the 80s or something, or whenever Excel came out, that there was all these headlines that Excel is going to take our jobs. Excel is going to take over bookkeeper jobs. And of course, Excel definitely changed a lot of jobs. It provided more efficiencies, and it is a tool that we are still using today as bookkeepers. And there are countless examples of that. I mean, computers are a huge one. I'm sure that computers have changed and even gotten rid of some jobs, but the impact is not overnight, so people have time to kind of adapt and change as new technology is coming. All right, and the number 2 part of my kind of pep talk is that bookkeepers have always needed to have a mindset of continual learning. And I have said that in multiple videos. Things are always changing. They're always coming out with new stuff in QuickBooks Online. In the 10 years that I've been a bookkeeper, I've had to adapt to bank feeds. I've had to change the way that I get information from clients. And when I was a kid, bookkeepers were writing down like paper ledgers in books. They were like writing stuff down. And then that changed to QuickBooks Desktop, and then it changed to QuickBooks Online. So if you're someone that's really stressed out about changes in technology, bookkeeping might not be the right fit for you. And I saw this really clearly when we switched bookkeeping into the cloud. So some bookkeepers and accountants were like, no, I'm just going to stay on desktop. I'm not going to switch to the cloud. These are all the problems. And looking back, some of those people might have gotten a little bit left behind, or they eventually decided to offer QuickBooks Online as one of their services. So now let's talk about the number of clients you have as a bookkeeper. So we all realize that AI is going to allow us to do things more quickly, right? That's actually is the next section in this video, but we can all assume that. So mathematically, then there's a few things you're going to start to realize. First of all, if I have a designated number of hours in my week that I'm working as a bookkeeper, I work part-time. So maybe previously I was able to service 10 clients with that time. If I'm able to work faster over the next few years, maybe my client number goes from 10 to 20 because I'm able to do more clients in the same amount of time. So that is looking pretty good for me as a bookkeeper, right? Like I'm getting twice as much money. And I know there's more complexity, so I'm going to hit that in just a second. But the other thing I wanted to touch on with number of clients is value pricing. So when bookkeepers were doing that paper ledger I was talking about, and it took them, I don't even know, maybe 10 hours a month for one client. It took them a longer time. I would argue that me as a bookkeeper today is providing the same amount of value, the same service to the business, no matter how long it takes me. So this is really clear in other industries. If a plumber comes and fixes your sink, you don't care if it takes them 30 minutes or if it takes them 4 hours, right? You can still pay them the same amount for that value of that service. So even if things are going more quickly for you with new tech, don't necessarily think that means you have to charge each client less. All right, and you probably did that math in your head a little bit. You're like, okay, if Morgan is going to go from 10 clients to 20 clients, then that is going to reduce the overall need of bookkeepers, right? Yes, that could definitely be true, but I think that it's going to slowly change over time. Maybe some bookkeepers will transition into like AI specialists. They will be able to advise business owners on how to use AI to their advantage. I think with any shift, it kind of creates some new jobs as well as like diminishing some other jobs. And I've also heard, I don't have statistics on this, but just logically, the baby boomer generation is like a huge number of people that are going to be exiting the workforce very soon if they have not already. So I've heard that is going to create an influx in certain jobs. And I personally just have like kind of this innate confidence that I feel like there's some not very good bookkeepers out there, and I am going to do a great job with my clients. And so even if the number of bookkeepers goes down like nationwide, I just have this confidence that I am going to be one of the ones that comes out on top. I don't know if that's just me. Let me know in the comments if you have that. I mean, I feel like if you're watching YouTube videos about how to be a bookkeeper, like you're trying pretty hard and you're still learning and you're trying to be your best bookkeeper. So I think that says a lot about you. So a quick recap of this section: you can have more clients, think about value pricing. The number of bookkeepers might go down, but things will just shift and work out. and there should be more jobs opening up for baby boomers. And I 100% acknowledge my bias in this subject because I'm a bookkeeper. I want to think like, yes, this job is not going away. Part of my job is also now training bookkeepers and encouraging new people to start bookkeeping businesses. So a lot of these webinars and things you're going to listen to about AI, including this video, are going to be pretty positive and optimistic about bookkeeping. So take that with a grain of salt. I am genuinely telling you what I think. I'm not faking it, but I do recognize that I can be biased. And if you don't know me, I am Morgan. My website is finepoints.biz. I would love it if you subscribe to this channel. I have bookkeeper videos each week, and a thumbs up really does help me a lot if you can give this video a thumbs up. If you're interested, also check out my free masterclass about how I got my first clients. All right, in the second half of this video, I'm going to talk about how AI is going to enhance your job as a bookkeeper, why you as a human being are still really important, and then how you can take on an advisory role for your clients. So how will this tech make your job easier as a bookkeeper? Basically, the data is going to be more accurate, it's going to be quicker, and it's going to be better quality. In the past years, we've already seen QuickBooks get way better at categorizing transactions. It can tell, this is an office supply that your employee bought, so put it in the office supply category. So I'm hoping you're going to see these things are there to empower you as a bookkeeper and make your work a lot less manual. So remember in the past, we would have like a bunch of invoices like sitting in a drawer for like 2 weeks until they finally got around to getting paid. But now, that invoice comes in right away, maybe an email, maybe it's a direct bill pay from the bank, and then you can quickly categorize it. People are getting paid on time and it's less work for you. So start thinking about AI not as a displacement of you as a bookkeeper, but as an enhancement. And now that you have that extra time freed up, you're able to work on projects that you're really more excited about. This has happened to me actually a couple times in different jobs I've had. My first job out of college was working at the Target headquarters, and at one point they outsourced a bunch of the work that I was doing. And at first people were like, oh no, all of our jobs are going to be lost. But really what happened was that we were able to then take on higher levels of responsibility, do projects that were more fun. As a bookkeeper, some of the projects I really like to do are organizing and making systems for clients. So maybe however they bring their deposits to the bank and then communicate them to me, maybe that system's kind of broken. And as a bookkeeper, I've been like, oh, I should fix that system, but I just haven't had time. So maybe with advances in technology, I will be able to spend time on projects like that create greater efficiency. And this is kind of a weird way to phrase it, but what is your value now as a human? What I keep hearing about AI is that it matters a lot how you phrase the question. So there's going to be a whole new group of people that are, I forget how they phrase it, but I think it's like prompt engineers. It's like AI engineers who specialize in, getting the right answers out of AI. So there are varying levels of how deep into this you can get. You can be a bookkeeper who knows the AI tools that are important, to you and your business. You could even outsource someone to help you with your AI, that specialist. In my experience, small business owners are really busy. They don't have time to be learning every new thing, nor should they. Like a lot of times they need to outsource that kind of specialty thing. So of course you could be that person too then. So yes, even now, my clients could figure out QuickBooks. They 100% are smart enough to figure out QuickBooks, but they either don't want to or they realize that their resources are better spent somewhere else. But in many, many cases, they are going to want a real person, smiling face, to help them sort through all of the options. Someone that they can call up or text to ask questions to. I think this is becoming a thing in the medical field as well. So you can go to a bunch of doctors and have all your information like input into some kind of system, but there are jobs now that is like your medical point person that you go to with questions and is able to sort through all of the chaos and help you figure out the next steps in your medical journey. So you can take that concept and apply it to finances. Many business owners will still want a real person that they can talk to. The other value you have as a human is you want to be checking the AI work because the computer is not accountable to your client for correct books. You are the one who is accountable for that. And we've seen that in a few stories in the news. There was the lawyer who submitted some kind of legal document with stuff that AI had made up, and it was inaccurate information, and the computer is not getting in trouble for that. The lawyer is getting in trouble for that, and he's the one who's going to be held accountable. So if you think of like the monthly checklist that you're doing for your clients, maybe of the 10 things, like 8 of them are automated by AI, but you still have to check them through and make sure they're getting done accurately. And let's talk about taking that more advisory role to your bookkeeping clients. AI is only as good as the information we put into it, or that we ask it. So a lot of times you are going to be able to think outside the box and kind of synthesize data in a different way or a more creative way, a more personalized way for each of your clients. So maybe for my client, I pulled a profit and loss statement and I'm looking at all of their expenses. And I realize this expense is duplicated by 2 different vendors. You actually don't need to be paying for Wix and for Squarespace. Or maybe I use AI tools to analyze the accounts receivable. So I have it pull a list of all the open invoices and sort it by date. And then I realized that for a certain period of time, none of the invoices are getting paid. And maybe that's because it was during the 4th of July celebration in the town or something. And then I can think of a creative solution for next year. So then maybe next year during the 4th of July, we provide paper invoices with firecrackers to each of our clients on their doorstep, or something like that. Something that a computer is not going to take the different data points and no outside human information and figure out a creative solution. I'm not sure if that's like too outlandish, but hopefully that kind of proves my point. I did make a video about how my clients' health insurance expenses were going up unexpectedly, and I was able to realize that and do a little presentation to the board. So stuff like that is what I think of as kind of an advisory role. And let me know in the comments, I get some naysayers that say that bookkeepers are not allowed to advise their clients. And I haven't really seen that in writing anywhere. It could differ state to state. I know sometimes people are not allowed to call themselves accountants unless they have a certain schooling, but that is not always the case. So my point is, I think if you're being helpful to your client and making human, helpful observations, that's always going to be a positive thing. Let me know in the comments if you want to see any other videos about AI. I know sometimes I was getting bombarded with information about AI, so I kind of needed to take a little break, and I didn't really want to watch videos about AI, but let me know if you have questions, maybe a video about where to start if it feels overwhelming. I can do that for you guys. But don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful, and I will talk to you next week.